I was teacher and then became principal of 2 Catholic schools in Oakland, California. And after working on those jobs as teacher and principal, I became sick. I injured my back on the job. And for a long period of my life, I was on the pharmaceutical drugs. I was on the Vicodin and the naproxen and all of the things. I must have been on about, I would say at least 9 pills a day. And I could remember going to work with braces on each one of my knee, a back brace, and a cane. And I was still trying to go to work. And finally, the doctor pulled me off, said, no, you can't. And how I was treated medically was with the pharmaceutical drugs, with the Vicodin and the naproxen. And a lot of those things happened, they overlapped because I was seeing about 3 different doctors, and none of them consulted with each other. So therefore, I was taking a lot of the same medicines, doing the same things, and consequently, I wasn't getting any better. I was getting worse. I went from walking to work with a cane to staying in bed, just being in bed, and getting up like at 2 in the afternoon. And I had the epidurals. I had everything, trying to make things better, and I just wasn't functioning. I just wasn't functioning as a person at all. And that went on for at least 3 or 4 years, like that regimen. And finally, because of who I am and because of my beliefs and my own spiritual practices, I started to eliminate the drugs on my own because I saw what they were doing to me. I wasn't into the cannabis then, but I started to eliminate them because I wasn't there for anybody, for my granddaughter, for my sons, for anyone, not even for myself. And so the better I eliminated those drugs, the better I began to feel.
Well, as people that aren't here anymore, I had lost 2 great people a couple years ago. First, my mother, as I told you, Kip. And, they gave her all the, when she had cancer, and she was going to be a real great woman, real liberal to some effect. Some effect she wasn't, as I told you. If she would have had the cannabis, and this is only a couple years ago, I think her passing would have been easier. They had her on the pain killing, made her so out of it. I really have a lot of regrets for that. Even though my brother and I are very liberal, we couldn't talk her into cannabis at all. Totally against it. And I think her passing, she died very thin. She may have eaten better. I think there was no stopping the cancer at that point, but I think it would have made her a little bit brighter. And I lost a business partner, very premature death to cancer, and I saw him deteriorate over a 3.5-year period. And the chemotherapy, and Bob was liberal-minded, and Bob was not adverse to any type of cannabis at any time in his real life before the cancer. He was on a special study or got into a special program at Stanford, this healing. It was kind of experimental, and they wouldn't go for it because I talked to him there, and he told me, he says, God forbid if it ever happens to you, don't do chemo,
And he was just a New Yorker, and kind of an obnoxious New Yorker, typical at the time. And, he usually would say, what are you wasting my time for, type of guy, just kidding around. And he says, oh, hi, Curtis, good to see you. Sit down and let me take those staples out, and then we'll go over your pathology report. And right at that moment, I go, wow, I got cancer. He pulls out this prescription pad and writes me a prescription for 120 hits of morphine. And I go, whoa, what, am I supposed to just, go outside and eat these and just end it all right here and now kind of thing? And he knew I was kidding, and he laughed, and I just said, I said, I'm not gonna be, this isn't the way. I'll just tough it out. And my mother died of cancer, and I mean, same thing. She given her morphine, and she was just on. She just did the Tylenol route. That was 22 years ago.
I mean, I didn't sleep from the day they had the accident until 4 months later. I did not one little bit of sleep. None. It was terrible. And he issued me Zyprexa, 20 milligrams of that.
I think that the addition of cannabis to an existing pain medication regimen is fairly safe. There are medicines used in pain management that are deadly when added together. You can have a normal dose of an opiate and a normal dose of a muscle relaxant, and you can add them together maybe with a glass of wine, and you don't wake up. Right. But there's nothing like that with cannabis. You can push a dosage of any one of the dangerous pain medications, but taking a dose of cannabis on top of that's not going to throw you over the edge, whereas taking a dose of alcohol or taking a dose of a benzodiazepine would.
You see, and that's what drew me to it. Is because as I'm growing older, many of my friends, and when I look at the aging population of America, the quality of life has deteriorated. And it's mainly because of the pharmaceutical drugs that they're on, as well as diet and those kinds of things. But the pharmaceutical drugs are really playing a big part in the deterioration of the quality of life of especially seniors. I see it. My friends on all kinds of medication.